Hello, and welcome to today's episode of Her Version. This podcast is dedicated to sharing stories of struggle to triumph, a platform that allows individuals to tell their truth in order to inspire and uplift others. I am your host, Sabrina Victoria. If you are new to this podcast, make sure you follow, like, subscribe, and share. Let's jump right in. Hello, and thank you for joining us today on this episode of Her Version. I am going to be having Jennifer Wydle here with us today. She is a former radio personality and has been in the broadcasting industry for over 30 years. As we all know, the music industry can pull its victims into a colorful world of sex, drugs, and rock and roll. And as for Jennifer, well, her spunk, beauty, and personality fit right into that mold. Jennifer is currently in recovery, admits to being an addict, and is here today to open up about relapse, meditation, and everything involving overcoming addiction on her road to redemption. Jennifer is the host of the popular podcast called Sober Exposure, where she not only shares her own journey in recovery, but also speaks with other musicians about their conventional and not so conventional methods of getting sober. I am so happy to be sharing this platform with her today. Her story is so inspiring, and I'm so thrilled to have her with us. So I am waiting on her. She said that she was going to be a few minutes late, but I am so excited to have her. While we're waiting for her, I kind of want to go over a few tidbits on whether or not, or gauging yourself on whether or not you might have a drinking problem. So as you guys know, Dane and I have been in the sober industry for a very long time now. And one of the issues that we run into is, hey, I love to drink, but I really don't know if I have a problem with drinking. So I thought it would be a good idea to kind of maybe read off some issues that you may have in your world, and if you say yes or no to these, could very easily gauge you on whether or not you're having an issue with sobriety. So if you are having an issue with sobriety and some of these do resonate with you, our phone number here is 1-800-410-6825. So the first one I want to talk about actually is, have you ever decided to stop drinking for a week or so, but then only lasted a couple days? Now, this is a big one for those of you that have done our 21-day no alcohol challenges. You could see pretty quickly whether or not you were having an issue with alcohol. So, if you're set out to do a week, 2 weeks, or in the 21-day course, 3 weeks, and you're having trouble even just going a few days, more than likely there is an issue with drinking. Another one that we come across quite a bit is people that bother you regarding whether or not you are drinking too much. So if somebody is talking to you about your drinking and it is upsetting you that they are bringing it up, more than likely, if it's kind of like hitting hard in your heart area, and you're feeling frustrated about it, more than likely you do have an issue with alcohol. So for those of you that are interested, we do host a meeting every Wednesday on Zoom. It's 8 p.m. The link is literally everywhere, usually Tuesday into Wednesday. Click the link for the Zoom. It's 8 o'clock p.m. every single Wednesday night, and we just talk sobriety. It's nothing crazy. Sober people are welcome. Sober curious people are welcome. People who are interested in sobriety are welcome. So listen, I have Jennifer here. She has arrived, and she is in our backstage, and I'm so excited to have her with us. She is, hello, girl.
Hey, what's happening?
What's up, Lady Marmalade?
Oh. First of all, can I just tell you, I had no idea this was live.
Well, welcome to the chaos.
Yeah,
how are you?
I didn't know this was live. I thought we were going to record, and if I said something bad, we could stop and edit. And but that would be a lot of editing because I say a lot of bad things. So.
No, that's fine, 100%. Hey, is that your real background? Where are you?
Where am I?
Yes.
I'm in my house.
Oh my gosh, I love that background. So
yeah,
cute.
It's a background. That's what it is. Let's just call it a background. Let's call a spade here. It's an honest program. It's called a really good green screen. Okay.
Well, I'm going to tell you, it's actually really good. I'm going to say it looks real, for real. Sometimes I like to kind of say that just to get people's actual their actual
you just want to know if they're full of shit or not.
Yes, their facial expressions, so I can kind of tell whether or not it's true or not. So how are you, lady?
I'm all right.
How was your weekend?
The weekend was very eventful. I also have hey, if you're in the Palm Beach area and you need a pet sitter, I had like 10 dogs here. Usually I don't let that many. Yeah. I'm a pet sitter. Before COVID, it was like I was like the pet nanny for Jupiter. Like everybody would bring their dogs to me, or I would walk away, whatever. And then after COVID, it just all died down, And now, thank goodness, the world is coming back. I had a lot of dogs here over the weekend, so we had a lot of snuggling and a lot of licking.
Yes. Which one was your favorite? Which one was your favorite?
My favorite's still always going to be mine.
Yeah. How many do you have? 1, 2?
I have 2. I have two. And it's sort of like when you have kids, you're like, do you have a favorite? Oh, there's some things I like in this dog better than I like in that dog. I have my little corgi right here. He's too heavy to pick up, but they all have their qualities. We'll put it that way.
100%.
Yeah, as long as they're not pooping in my beautiful home, right?
Yes.
Then we're good.
Yes, 100%. Well, listen, I'm so glad to have you here. You missed your beautiful intro, but I'm sure you know what you do. So 30 years in the industry, lots of sex, drugs, and rock and roll. You're spunky, you're beautiful, you got the personality that fit right in. And you're in the world of sobriety and recovery and all the goodness that goes along with that. And I'm so happy to have you here to kind of delve in. There are so many females that are in this same, challenged with this same exact story. And I'm so happy to have you here kind of being raw and real today with me. If you don't mind, kind of delve into broadcasting. You did that for a really long time. Do you kind of mind sharing that?
And I'm still doing it. It's just different now because now we're doing it this way because this is the way that media has gone. But it all goes back to the sex, drugs, and rock and roll and being a teenager and growing up in Cleveland, the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame city, right like down the block from a hotel, this big Marriott. And when we were kids, we would ride our bicycles to this hotel because we saw the tour buses in the back. So we knew that when there was a tour bus and there was a band in town, that obviously they're staying at the hotel. So we were innovative to figure out that if we cut class and sat in the lobby all day, we'd get to meet our favorite bands. So just the rush of that is sort of what opened up the rock and roll, vibe in me. And it was like, this is the life I want. How can I make money doing it? Yeah. So I grew up in that hotel. We started riding our bicycles and we get our driver's license. Then we get cars, then we get fake IDs. And the next thing you know, we're hanging out at the hotel lounge. And then when they would be done with the shows, the bands, Kiss, Def Leppard, Bruce Springsteen, you name them, they would be in that lounge. And we would be, me and my friends, underage drinking, trying to, get as close as we could to Gene Simmons and Paul Stanley.
Yes.
So, So fast forward, I mean, my radio story does have a lot to do with, my alcoholism. When I was in high school, graduating high school, all my friends were going to Ivy League colleges, Tulane. I had a friend that went to Yale. I mean, I grew up with some very my crowd. They were some very smart women, and that actually hurt me because no matter how much I tried, I'll never be able to go to Yale. Yeah, I could study and tutor, and I'm just not going to go to Yale. And so the crowd that I hung out with, it was just ironic. A lot of their parents were doctors and lawyers. My dad was a furniture salesman. So I'm not going to have the genetics that they have as far as intelligence goes, book smart wise. So that had a lot to do with my low self-esteem, seeing all my friends. So to make a long story short, they all go to the Ivy League colleges. I went to an Ivy League rehab in Minneapolis, because I was a teenage alcoholic.
Yeah.
And I was already doing cocaine by 17.
Wow.
So they shipped me off to Minneapolis. And little did I know that Minneapolis had this little rock and roll world there in its own. So when I got out of rehab, I started going to all the rock clubs and this and that. And I got an internship hanging banners at a radio station. Just basically hanging the banners at the events, and one thing led to another, and there was a DJ that used to put me on the air all the time, and the program director heard me, and he thought, listen, my story is like I had this career and it just fell into my lap.
Wow.
Yeah. So from Minneapolis, this program director's like, okay, Jen, so I'll put you on the air, but you need to go learn the technical stuff, and we don't have the time or, whatever to teach you this. So I would suggest you go to a 9-month broadcasting school. Yeah. So I did. And so I'm done in 9 months, and I go back to that program director at the biggest rock station, one of the biggest rock stations in the country, in Minneapolis. And I'm like, I'm ready. And he's like, oh yeah, well, I said I'd put you on the air, but I didn't say I was going to put you on my station. He's like, this is the number, 12th market in the country, and you have zero experience. So, the old story about I don't know about your father, but my father, when I was a kid, I used to have to walk uphill in the snow just to get to school. Uh-huh. I tell my interns that, when I started in radio, I was living in Minneapolis, Minnesota. I had to drive 3.5 hours to Duluth, Minnesota in the middle of winter to do a weekend overnight shift.
Wow.
So I did that for a very short time. And then I wanted to go home to my hometown, Cleveland. And it's just the right person found my air check at the bottom of a shoebox. I kid you not. Yeah. And he happened to have run many stations. And he's the one that discovered me. And before you know it, I'm in Cleveland doing nights in the 90s, breaking bands like Pearl Jam. And I became sort of like his right-hand man, because he was already older and I'm this young kid. He's like, so what band's in now? I'm like, oh, the Red Hot Chili Peppers, hands down. He's like, the Red Hot who? I'm like, if you're not playing the Red Hot Chili Peppers, you can't call yourself a rock station. So he just put a lot of faith in me, and he and I together broke a lot of great bands. And
wow.
And so it's great. It's a very glamorous story, but then it's also a very dark story as we continue the story.
Yeah, no, I totally get it. So you started out young. What age?
My first on-air job, I was probably 18 and a half, maybe 19.
Wow.
At KQDS in Duluth, I was 19.
No,
the light before was fine. Stop messing with it. I'm talking to my producer, who's really making me crazy right now. Yes. Once a diva, always a diva. Can you just put it the way it was, babe? Thank you.
I was.
I'm saying F you in my head right now.
I was. Yeah, the lighting was perfect how it was.
Yeah,
originally.
I know.
Okay.
All right. Anyway, so
I do have a question. You have a picture up on your Sober Exposure website. How old were you in that picture? Because you look the same, but do you
trying
know
to think which picture that was? sober exposure is it's not a recent picture?
No, but you literally look the same. It's
Girl,
so
that's
crazy.
because I have the best plastic surgeon in Palm Beach County.
Wait, who's your plastic surgeon? Tell me. Do a shout out.
Okay, so I go to Dr. DeLange, Gregory DeLange for the boobs, somebody else for the face. No, I'm just kidding. No, I go to a guy named Dr. Gregory DeLange. I started going to him because I thought he was cute and I had a crush on him, hence my sex addiction. So, yeah, right? And you're making me crazy with these lights because I looked good and now I don't look good anymore. This is live, you know. Look, I'm gonna kill you. Oh. All right. Anyway, so yeah, it's just I say it's my plastic surgeon, but I'm just kidding. I mean, listen, a lot of people say that drugs are sort of like formaldehyde or something. You know, I don't know. I don't know. I mean, yeah, I get Botox. I do get Botox. Dr. Kenneth Winnard is great for the Botox. You know, I could talk. I wish I just had a show about cosmetic surgery and makeup and fashion. You know, that's what I want. Instead, it's on recovery. So anyway,
when did you discover plastic surgery? How old were you?
Well, I was born Jewish, and where I went to school right after your bas mitzvah, everybody had their noses done.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
So actually, I didn't really need that, but that's what I mean. Listen.
So you were like open to it right away, super young.
Yeah, all my friends had nose jobs at 13. So it was like
really.
Yeah, literally.
Wow. I believe it. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, the message was always looking. Okay, but my high school had heated sidewalks. I mean, I didn't. Yeah.
What?
Mm-hmm.
I didn't even know that was a thing.
Well, yeah, in Cleveland it is, because God forbid we should slip and bump our little tushies.
Yes, yes.
So yeah, I've been princessized. Is that a word?
Yes.
Throughout my addiction and in my life, but you know, I grew up a princess, and everybody had plastic surgery. So it's like, okay, where do I sign up? Because I hated the way I looked, but there was nothing I could do at that age.
Yeah.
So, you know, then I was working in radio, and I had a doctor that, you know, gave me breast augmentation. And that could be a whole other episode about just what a mess that was. And especially for addicts, and the pain pills. And that actually took me out once when I had my breast augmentation, and all the problems that it's caused and how sick it makes you and tired. And it only they don't tell you that it doesn't last long. So then, you know, maybe 10 years, you have to go back under the knife again, and they keep falling, and there's scars. I have like Frankentits. Anyway.
Well, they look nice under a workout bra, right?
They do.
I saw your social media. You're looking fine.
Yeah. Well, so, you know, I'm gonna get real. You asked me what you want to ask, because I know we're gonna get into eventually what the horrible thing is that's happened within the last.
You can jump right in if you want.
All right. So I'm the poster child for recovery. You know, I have my own recovery podcast, Sober Exposure, and I never claim to be an expert on my podcast. I always invite the experts to talk about recovery, and I just share my experience, strength, and hope. And I recently, I relapsed. Mm-hmm. So I'm just coming back. And, you know, it's really, what we need to do is we need to break the stigma of relapse.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Wait, explain.
Okay. So here's where I stand with relapse. And I just actually had a podcast about this. So the relapse happens way before you pick up, obviously. You know, like your behavior. I saw some of my behaviors were changing. I wasn't going to as many meetings. I made an excuse, well, I don't like this sponsor. So there's a lot of things that happen before the relapse. And I also hate the word relapse because it's a decision. It's not a relapse. You know, like when I was a kid and I had mono, and I recovered from mono. And then I went on a roller coaster, and my spleen almost exploded. That was a relapse from mono, you know. I made a decision to go back out and use. Here's where I have a problem.
Okay.
People measure who you are, whether or not you have anything to say, or everything is measured in the recovery community around how much time you have.
Yep.
And there's so much shame around relapse.
Yes.
You know, you go into a meeting and they're like, oh, you have to pick up a white chip, and then, you know, it's like, just can't we? And then they contradict themselves because it's like, just for today, but how many days do you have?
Yep.
Like, WTF.
Yep.
How many days do you have? But just for today does not go hand in hand.
100%.
So, right. So what it does is it puts me in a tailspin saying, well, or this is what happened. Thank God my going out and using didn't last long, because I am a pro with this. No, I'm a pro at relapse. No, just it didn't last long. I got out of it, thank God. But it does prevent a lot of people from wanting to go and get sober again, just because of the judgment and the stigma and the, oh, you have to pick up a white chip now. You know, it's like, I see Dane saying, yes, whoever wakes up first today has the longest sobriety, you know, and because I've spoken to people that have had, I mean, sure, you're still in your disease and you're still sick in the, you know, I don't want to say the first year, who knows? Everybody gets better and everybody recovers in their own time.
Mm-hmm.
I wish I could come on here and say that I feel like I felt when, you know, I had multiple years of sobriety. I don't. You do lose when you go back out. People are like, oh, well, you don't lose any, you know. So all those years that I stayed sober prevented me from probably dying or being in prison right now, because I had all those days.
Exactly.
Thank God. And it prevented my son from more trauma because he didn't have to come home to a drunk, high mother, you know, for all those years. However, when I did make that decision to go out and use, coming back was really hard, and it's really hard. It's harder to stay clean. It's easier to stay sober than it is to get sober. So, you know, if I could be the spokesperson for what not to do, then that's what I'll be.
What's your thing, by the way? What's your choice? Drug of
cocaine,
choice,
alcohol, weed, opiates. Like, man, you know, my thing is whatever's in front of me. That's my thing.
Were you somewhere? Were you at a party or a
no
gathering?
Kratom took me out, and I was getting my hair done. That's so, I was getting my hair done, and right next to my hair salon they have you know, the Kratom kava bars that are showing up everywhere.
Yeah.
You know, I know better, and we've done so many episodes on California sober, and you know, my disease, I didn't have the spirituality. I wasn't in the fit spiritual condition to, it's almost like it had to happen in order to wake me up, because there was a kava bar, Kratom bar. My disease is like, no, you can't. And then it's like, which animal are you going to feed? You know, and I decided to feed the bad animal, the unbehaved animal, or it was my inner child just screaming out. And this is why they call the disease so cunning, baffling, and powerful, because all the times I've talked about Kratom, because I've had experiences with it before, all those times I've talked about it just went right out the door. And my hair is in foils, whatever, and it's processing. I'm looking at that and I'm like, God, man, if I just have one Kratom tea, it's fine. Yeah. Because there's people in the program that drink Kratom and it's fine. And listen, you know what? I obviously deep in my gut, I just wanted to get high more than I wanted to stay sober. I mean, that's it. That's all. Yeah. I just wanted to get high more than I wanted to stay sober. I wasn't spiritually fit. I wasn't meditating the way that I usually meditate. I wasn't being diligent with my program. So, you know, that's what happens, man. When you don't take your medicine, if you don't take your insulin, you're going to have a relapse with diabetes. I wasn't taking my insulin.
100%.
which is
Can
like,
you talk about Kratom, by the way? Because literally, I just heard this word 2 weeks ago exactly. I had never even heard of it before,
yeah, it's
and
good.
two of the people in the society, whatever you want to call it, mentioned it, and I did a Google search just
Pro
out of
it, saying that it
curiosity.
helps. Did they say that it helps with recovery?
They said that that's just what they take to like not do drugs.
Okay, and that's dangerous because you know what? It's that my alcoholic mind is going to take and run with, not the person that says getting up in the morning and meditating and calling your sponsor and going to meetings or going in nature or whatever. I'm not going to listen to that crap. I'm going to listen to the one that says, yeah, you can take Kratom.
Yeah.
Everybody's different. For me, Kratom is it a tea or a root? I think kava's a tea. Kratom's a tea. It's natural, but
Yeah.
it mimics
Yeah.
opiates.
Yeah.
And it's that addictive. You get, if you're an addict, you're going to get the feeling, you're going to get the high. And then when you don't take it, so it hits all the same receptors as a lot of drugs. That's what Dana's just telling me. So basically you're altering your perception when you take it.
Yeah.
And so when I put something into my body, I'm just this kind of addict. I'm not here to say that you can't have Kratom, you can't take kava, you can't smoke weed. I'm not saying that. Do I think that means you're sober? No, because what does sober mean? Of sound mind.
Yes.
And you're not of sound mind once you alter your perception.
Yes.
So I got high on the Kratom. That's not my drug of choice, but it did, alter my perception and thinking and blah, 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 blah. And then the next thing you know, I'm using drugs, cocaine, whatever.
Wow.
Yeah.
Still with foils in your hair?
No, we took the foils out. We actually took the foils out, and my hair looked great for like a day, because when you're out, you don't stay looking good for so long. But so that's what happened. So I'm a big advocate about just raising awareness about Kratom, and a lot of people are using it, and harm reduction for some. I'd rather see someone in a Kratom bar having a drink of Kratom than in the street shooting dope with a dirty needle, of course.
Good point. Yeah. Good point.
Yeah. The thing is I just feel like it's always going to bring it back to that dirty needle.
I totally agree. Do you put Kratom and kava in the same column?
Yeah, I do.
You do.
Mm-hmm. Kava isn't going to give you the physical withdrawals like Kratom, but just stay away from the Kratom and the kava.
So can someone get addicted to Kratom?
Oh yes,
just like a drug.
It's physically addictive. Physically.
Wow.
Like literally, you have to detox. I mean, they have people in detox centers detoxing off Kratom.
Wow.
And
that's so crazy. And I had
it's crazy that it's legal.
It. Yeah. That you can just go someplace and just get it.
You could take it to go, put it in your car and drive around with it.
Insane. Yeah, I hadn't even, so that's so interesting that's what we're talking about.
It's a really scary.
Yeah.
It's scary for addicts. Real scary. This addict, at least.
Yeah.
I'm only gonna speak for myself.
Yeah. So as far as your perception on relapse, what is your like viewpoint? Like, how should it look? What do you think? How should it look?
Because it shouldn't look like anything. I don't think that
but
it has to be a part.
I'm very much like agreeing with what you're saying, as far as it's not supposed to be viewed as the way it's viewed in AA. So how should it be viewed?
How should it be viewed? In my opinion, it should be viewed at, well, first of all, I don't like when people say it's part of recovery.
Thank
That's
you.
ridiculous.
Yeah.
Relapse is not a part of recovery. But how should it be viewed? It should be viewed the same way that if I was walking on ice and I slipped and fell, you know, I'm going to help you up, let's take care of your cuts and bruises and let's move forward.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's definitely a wake up call. And it's really hard too because, like I didn't think about smoking weed for years. But now it's taking everything out of me since I woke up that ugly monster. It's taking everything out of me not to like smoke a joint or even just go back. My disease will tell me again, even after this podcast, that I still can have kratom and be okay.
Wow. Is
It's
that
it,
interesting?
it is cunning, baffling, and powerful, man. This shit.
Yeah. Yeah. I use this analogy a lot and I get a lot of slack for it because it's so juvenile compared to what, you know, I guess sobriety actually is or drug use actually is. But I use the scenario of working out. If I was on my way to doing a performance for high athletic and I was all cut and you know how they do all the stuff for
Yeah,
physique
ripped.
and I had been working out for 3 years trying to win a medal on a stage and I come in and I had a slip up and I tell my trainer, hey listen, I had a slip up last night and I had not just one donut but I had two whole donuts and I ate them. I don't feel as if my trainer's going to be like, well, let's go back to using 5 pound weights and walking the track because you had a relapse in judgment. He's just going to be like, dude, do a couple more laps and a couple more reps and we're freaking moving on, we're moving forward.
I
And
like
i
that.
get and I get that it's not life and death, but I feel like it's very similar to that, you know.
Yeah, it is. It is. The only thing is ugh, I'm sorry, I'm having headphone issues. Actually, I'm having hair issues.
Your hair looks great.
Um, I do like that analogy. I do. I like that analogy. However, it's just a little bit more complicated, a tiny bit more complicated, because if you have a cookie once it gets out of your system and whatever it's once I can't even tell you. And if you're an addict and you're listening and you haven't gone back out and used again, um, I just want to tell you that God forbid you should. I said this is going to be my mantra. Once you wake up that monster and that horrible devil, that thing that we have that we
Yeah.
call addiction,
Yeah.
it's a lot easier to shut that up than it is to shut up an Oreo cookie.
Yeah.
But
Exactly.
the fact about let's just do some weight and move on, yeah, that's all I can do. What the hell can I do? Sit here and
Yeah.
friggin', yeah, what can I do?
Yeah.
I'm not
I
going to
just
count my time. I'm going to say today I'm sober. I'm not going to count my time. And then maybe when I wake up and I have 2 years again, then I can say I have 2 years. But otherwise, it's going to cause me so much anxiety if I sit here and be like,
yes.
oh, I just relapsed. Oh, I only have a month.
Yes. I just don't think that's fair. I feel like somebody should come up with another thing to explain that or to get people to admit or restart again because I feel like it's such a negative. It's literally such a negative. It's totally what you did or what individuals do is in your circumstance is totally different than just flying off the rails for 2 years and then trying to get back on. If you're just talking a day, two, a week, I don't think that it should be punishable. And I say punishable because it feels like a punishment to have to go back up and say I have 30 days. I don't think that that's fair.
I don't care how much time I have. I just care that, I'm of a clear mind today
Mm.
and that I'm not putting anyone else at risk on the roads and that I'm not putting my son at risk for more trauma. And I just don't care.
Yeah.
I don't. I lost a lot of people that aren't listening to my podcast anymore because they're like, I'm not sober. I don't care.
Makes sense.
I don't care.
Do you want to answer Dane's question?
I'm trying with the microphone or the speaker. It says, what are your thoughts about connecting the opposite? What is that? Connecting being the opposite of addiction. Oh, thoughts about being connecting opposed to. Yeah, I mean, we need, we can't do it alone. That we can't. We need accountability, and we can't do it alone. And I do believe that obviously having a connection to a higher power, having a connection to your own self, having a connection to other people is the prescription to help yourself to get out of it. Definitely. Mostly the spiritual side. Yeah. Because no human, here I'm going to talk, but there's no human being that could relieve us from this. If there was, my mother would have done it years ago.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, definitely.
And my brain sometimes can be so distorted that I can't help myself by myself. Mm-hmm. I need to reach out to others, and I need to reach out to God, and I need to meditate, because that's where I get my answers. Meditation is really important to me. Yeah. And I stopped meditating, you know.
Really?
Kind of. I mean, yeah. I don't want to say I stopped meditating consistently.
Yeah.
You know, I used to meditate consistently, twice a day, actually.
What does meditation look like for you, for those that are interested in possibly doing something like that?
I love that question. Well, I have all different types of meditations that I do. Self Reiki, which is a whole other thing. When I'm on my game and when I'm my best version of myself, I wake up in the morning and I go outside in nature in my little backyard, and sometimes I'm really into like singing bowls and tuning forks and sound healing. Because auditorial stuff is what I really connect with, music and stuff like that. So we have any singing bowls in here? Nick, you want to grab me a singing bowl? So Tibetan singing bowls really saved my life a lot. So I connect those with my chakras, balance the chakras. Now I'm getting a little woo-woo on everybody.
No, please do.
Yeah, you know, and sometimes I'll do a guided meditation. I'm gonna give my buddy another plug. His name's David G. J.I. David G. J.I. He's helped me so much with just teaching meditation, because he modernizes it. He knows everything. I mean, Sanskrit, you name it. But he'll start you with a little guided meditation, and every day it'll be something else. Maybe about gratitude, or starting the day, or meditating on who you are on the inside. And then he'll put you through, because I believe that you need to sit in stillness and silence for meditation. So then he'll put you through stillness and silence, and you could do it for 5 minutes, or you can do it for a half an hour. If you only want to do it for 5 minutes, then you can fast forward to what he calls the meta moment, which means like just a beautiful thought. And so he'll be like, okay, well, now we get to our meta moment, and every day there's a different meta moment. So he's my favorite person to meditate with virtually, but you don't even, like just getting a mantra, any kind of mantra, and just connecting with your third eye, and then breathing in, love, out, and just the mantra, and sitting there in silence, you get so many answers.
Wow.
Because, if you haven't noticed, it's hard for me to shut up. So, like, when I'm meditating, like they say that prayer is asking God or the universe or your higher power, and meditation's where you get your answers.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah.
I've never heard that.
All right, can we see?
Yes, I can see. Oh, let me take this off.
I love it. And so this one is a Tibetan singing bowl.
Yes.
I also have crystal singing bowls that are aligned with every chakra. And there's just, listen, we could have a whole episode. I'd have to be sitting somewhere else and just talk about what these bowls can do, because these bowls could do more than any bowl of weed could ever do.
Is this because of the sound?
It's the sound, it's the vibration, it's it's mystical. It's magical. There's so many. It's not just the sound. Sure, of course, the sound, but the vibration. And then when you take it, like this is tuned to A, which is it's the third eye. That's what this frequency is attuned to. This is my favorite bowl. Like you could even put it on your head, and it's not working because of the headphones. But oh, this isn't the same bowl. No, it's not doing it. No, it's not big enough. I like to put a big bowl on my head, and when you boom,
and you can hear it in your wow.
And then you can really connect. It's really it's awesome. This is the wrong bowl, but actually this one is this is a beauty. If you can see the inside.
Yeah. Oh yes. Yes. Wow. That is very beautiful.
Yeah. So and everybody thinks that there's like an art to it, and that like, am I doing it wrong? And that's the biggest question. You're never doing it wrong. You're never doing it wrong.
Yeah.
You know.
When were you introduced to that? Long ago.
I first got introduced. The first kind of energy, kind of healing meditation I got introduced to was about 23 years ago. For those of you that there was a store in Delray, Florida, right on Atlantic Avenue called Shining Through, and it was like a metaphysical store. And I've always been attracted to crystals since I was a kid. I've always loved crystals. So I was with my girlfriend, who's no longer with us. She died of an overdose, and yeah, so just a little. She died of an overdose. So we're walking down Atlantic Ave, and she and I are both like total shopaholics. All we want to do is spend money on clothes and earrings and jewelry, and then. And I see a crystal store. I'm like, oh my God, I have to go in here. And she's like, she was from Texas. I am not going in a crystal store. I don't like that woo-woo stuff. I'll see you across the street at Lululemon. No, they didn't have Lululemon.
Yes.
But anyway, so she came in with me, and they said, oh, we're having an energy healing circle. Would you like to join us? And she's like, hell no. I ain't doing it,
Yes.
And I was interested in it. So we went in the back, and it was a Reiki healing session, and it was life-changing for both of us.
Really?
Yeah. I was like, whatever that would just happen to me, I have no idea. But I need to do this every single day of my life, and since then I became a Reiki practitioner, and I got really into Reiki. So it started with the Reiki. And then once you start with that, then, once you're in that world, you just get introduced. I don't remember the first time I got introduced to a singing bowl. I don't even remember. I think my first one was a green crystal singing bowl that was aligned to the heart chakra. And I was here's a great story. This is a great story. My ex-husband was in the hospice, basically, like with zero chance to live. It was pretty low. Now, just let me believe that this is why this happened. Okay. So I took my bowl, and I made like a shrine with his pictures, and I got all the singing bowls aligned, and I made just like this whole area just dedicated to meditating to wake up my ex-husband. Okay. And I invited in the angels. My favorite angel, one of my favorite angels is Raphael, Archangel Raphael, and the heart chakra in green. And I never played those bowls harder in my life. And I was just in it, and I was feeling it, and the energy. And then here's something else David G teaches is like to take your heart and just like have it connected to someone else's heart for healing. And I was just throwing him healing energy, And the next day there was a miraculous change, and he's alive and well and yelling at me and calling me a bitch today.
Wow. Thanks to you.
I like to think it was thanks to the, angels and the energy and all that, but some people are going to call me a kook.
Did you tell him you did that?
Yeah. He laughed.
Did he like you for a second?
He doesn't buy into any of that shit.
He's not down with the woo-woos.
No, but I felt it. I felt the energy. I felt him. I felt spirit. He was almost crossing over. And I feel like that so many people were were praying and meditating, and it was just everybody just gathered together, and he made it,
Wow.
So
Wow. Well, good for him and good for you.
yeah.
Thank
But yeah,
goodness.
these bowls, they're great. I recommend them to anybody that has a hard time with anxiety. And if anybody has any questions about them, like I said, there's no right or wrong way, but where to get them, how much do they cost, da, da, da.
Yeah.
I'm not selling anything. I don't sell them. I should, but you're more than welcome to. I'll talk about these all day long. So
Yes.
reach
Yes.
out.
Yes. Yes. Reach out, Miss Jennifer.